It's 2 a.m., and the world outside your window is drenched in a soft orange glow. Street lights, phone screens, the hum of a refrigerator. Darkness, for you, is barely dark at all. Now imagine the opposite. No light switch. No glow on the horizon. Just black, absolute and total, pressing in from every direction. For more than 95% of human history, this was every single night. And somehow, your ancestors didn't just survive it. They thrived in it. So what were they actually doing, out there, in that darkness? The first answer surprises most people. They weren't sleeping through it. Not in one long, unbroken block like we do. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of the Kalahari, noticed something strange. These communities, living without electricity, without clocks, don't sleep in a single stretch. They wake in the middle of the night. They talk. They tend the fire. Then they drift back to sleep. Historians found the same pattern buried in old European texts. Court records, diaries, medical books from the 1500s and 1600s casually mention something called first sleep and second sleep, as if everyone already knew what it meant. A person would sleep for a few hours after dusk, wake naturally in the dead of night, stay conscious for an hour or so, then sleep again until morning. That gap in the middle had a name. And a purpose. Picture it. The fire has burned low, casting a dim, flickering light across sleeping bodies. One by one, people stir. Not from fear. Not from insomnia. It's simply what their bodies expect. They sit up. They speak in low voices. Someone reaches for the fire and feeds it another branch. This quiet, wakeful hour becomes something close to sacred. Because here's what your ancestors didn't have that you do: a reason to rush back to sleep. No alarm clock waiting to punish them at 6 a.m. No blue light tricking their brains into thinking the sun never set. Their internal clock, the one buried deep in the brain's hypothalamus, was free to do what it evolved to do across millions of years: split the night into two natural halves. And in that middle hour, something remarkable happened. Researchers studying this biphasic sleep pattern found that the hormone prolactin spikes during the waking gap, a chemical linked to calm, almost meditative states. People who kept sleep diaries during controlled studies described the experience as peaceful. Not groggy. Not anxious. Almost dreamlike, even while fully awake. This is where the real mystery begins. What did they do with that time? Stories. That's the answer archaeologists and anthropologists keep circling back to. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording nighttime conversations among the Kalahari's Jew or Hoansi people. She noticed something her data couldn't ignore. Daytime talk was almost entirely practical. Complaints. Gossip. Logistics. But firelight conversations transformed. They turned to myth. To ancestors. To the origins of the world. Darkness, it turns out, changes what the brain wants to talk about. Without the visual clutter of daylight, faces, gestures, the busy business of survival, voices become the entire world. Imagination fills in what the eyes can't confirm. A flickering fire throws shapes across a cave wall, and a half-asleep mind turns those shapes into monsters, spirits, ancestors watching from the dark. This is likely where humanity's first stories were born. Not as entertainment, but as something closer to social glue. Myths that taught children who they were, why the sky moved the way it did, why death existed, what waited beyond the firelight. Stories told at 2 a.m. under a ceiling of stars, passed down for so many generations that they eventually calcified into religion. But the night wasn't only for stories. It was also for survival. The fire needed constant tending. Let it die, and the freezing cold rushes in, or worse, the predators circling just beyond the light. Lions. Hyenas. Early humans on the African savanna were not the most fearsome creatures in their ecosystem. They were, for a long stretch of prehistory, prey. Someone always had to stay half awake, listening. That biphasic sleep pattern may not just be a biological quirk, it may be an ancient security system. A rotating watch, encoded into the species itself. Which raises an unsettling question. Were your ancestors ever fully asleep? Or was some part of the brain always listening for the snap of a branch, the low growl carried on the wind? Neuroscientists have since discovered something called first night effect. Even today, one half of your brain stays more alert than the other on unfamiliar ground, monitoring for danger while you sleep. It's a leftover reflex. A fossil behavior. Hardwired vigilance from a night that never fully let its guard down. Then there's the sky. Without artificial light drowning out the stars, the night sky your ancestors saw was overwhelming. Thousands of stars, the pale wash of the Milky Way arching overhead, visible from nearly everywhere on Earth. Watching it wasn't passive entertainment. It was navigation. It was calendar keeping. Certain star patterns told early humans when to migrate, when animals would return, when the rains were coming. Some archaeologists argue this nightly ritual of skywatching planted the earliest seeds of astronomy, mathematics, even spiritual belief. Look up long enough into that much darkness, and the mind starts asking questions it never needed to ask in daylight. What is up there? Why does it move? What does it mean? So the picture that emerges isn't one of frightened cavemen huddled uselessly in the dark, waiting for sunrise. It's something closer to a second life, quieter, more reflective, wired for connection rather than labor. A life split cleanly in two, the practical daylight self, and the storytelling, star-watching, half-dreaming night self. We lost that second self almost entirely. Edison's light bulb didn't just banish darkness, it collapsed two sleeps into one, erased the sacred middle hour, and severed most of us from a sky we can no longer even see. City dwellers today might glimpse a few dozen stars on a clear night. Your ancestors saw thousands, every single night of their lives. So the next time you find yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, resenting the insomnia, consider another possibility. Maybe you haven't malfunctioned. Maybe, for one fleeting hour, some ancient rhythm inside you has simply remembered how the night used to be lived.